What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we have another finale. It seems like a lot of my series have been ending lately, but that's kind of a good thing because it makes room for other series. So you can look forward to upcoming stuff on my channel. But in terms of this scenario, it's pretty weird seeing it go considering how long it's been around. It's one of my longer scenarios on the channel, almost one of the longest, and one of the few that starts before Z. So if you're new to the series, you probably have a lot to catch up to, but if you've been here before, you know where we're going. We're heading into the Tournament of Power and the Mora arc right now. Since I do it with all my videos, let's set a like goal of 3,000 likes, just as a send off to the series. Also, let me know that there's some more interest for the series to continue. But with that all out of the way, let's finish this series with this final part. So we had some pretty strange events happen in the last part. There kinda was a Goku Black, but not in the way that you'd imagine. Or I guess Kakarot Black for that matter. Of course, Zamasu was stopped before he could even do anything, but it still left Kakarot in a weird spot. Although it gave him a new power, he did get his original body back, but it seems that some of Zamasu's essence lingered within him, not in a bad way though, no. For some reason, now his hair is pink instead of blue, and Kakarot's way more interested in focusing on this form now. As for Raditz, we saw that he was focusing on Super Saiyan 4, specifically the Limit Broken version, although in the last part I briefly did mention that Ultimate is more effective for him, and after some time, he begins to realize this. It's less draining, and it draws out all the potential from whatever forms he has. So he'd be foolish not to utilize that to its fullest, even though Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker looks pretty cool for him. But that's not the last we're going to see of that form, not in the slightest. We're heading into the Tournament of Power now, and it's time to make a team. Obviously, Kakarot and Raditz are here, with Gohan, Tenshinhan, Piccolo, Krillin, and Yamcha joining. As we've seen in the scenario, Chi-Chi does still fight from time to time, and they actually ask her to join. It's been a while since she had a serious fight, and she kinda lacks behind in terms of power, but she would still love to join. Goten joins too, that makes 9 people. But they still need one more, and they're trying to figure out who they can recruit. Roshi or Grandpa Gohan would be a pretty good choice, but Raditz and Kakarot don't know if they could keep up in terms of power. They know those two have been training, but this is something else. They even have the same concern for Chi-Chi, but at least her age isn't a problem like those two. They try and think who their next fighters can be, but it's no big deal though, they still have a lot of time left. For now, they want to see where everyone stands in terms of power. One of the people that they're most interested in is Gohan. They want to see how he's done here on Earth with his training. As mentioned before, he's been training with Tenshinhan, and after that fusion they did in the Buu saga, he kinda wanted to learn Kaioken for himself so he could use it with Super Saiyan 4. He tells Kakarot and Raditz and they want to see if he's able to do it, and he tells them that he simply can't. The reason being is because he found another good power that he could use. You see, even though he wasn't training with Beerus or he didn't get a ritual done on him, he still does have trace amounts of God Ki within him. I mean, consider how much he's been with Kakarot and Raditz. At some point, even trace amounts of God Ki would be infused within him. Over the past year, he's been working to try and access that, cause he knew it was within him. He explains this and they expect him to have Super Saiyan God or something. Well, yeah, he kinda does. But then he shows off what he's truly referring to. He goes into Super Saiyan 4 and begins powering up on top of that. Raditz can immediately tell what he's done. Inspired by Raditz, he decided to pursue Super Saiyan 4 and Limit Breaker. And this is his new peak of power right now. The two Saiyans are amazed to see this, and obviously quite glad that Gohan is this strong now. And just for fun, Kakarot decides to spar with him, using his new Super Saiyan Rose form. The two actually seem somewhat even in terms of power. Rose allowed Kakarot to get some great growth, and the same goes for Gohan's new form, as well as the fact that he is a hybrid Saiyan after all. And besides just the test in power, they enjoy sparring once in a while. As for the rest of the team, they've all seen some great growth as well. Goten's been pretty motivated because Chi-Chi is very supportive of his training. We've seen this ever since the beginning. In the first few parts of the scenario, we saw how motivated Chi-Chi was as a fighter. And while she still is somewhat like she is in canon, she's clearly much more open to fighting here, which benefits everyone in her family in terms of power. The other humans and Piccolo have all done great as well, and the twins are pretty confident about their team, but there is still one spot open. So they decide to ask the team flat out, is there anyone else that they could think of? Surprisingly, the one person that does have a suggestion is Ten. He does have some amazing rivals here on Earth. Of course, his old friends Raditz and Kakarot, and his new rival Gohan. But it's not like he was training on King Kai's planet alone. No, he's met some pretty strong people in Otherworld and did find a rival there. Although it's been a bit of time since Ten saw him. And technically he is dead, so they don't know if he could even join. They ask Beerus and he doesn't care as long as they get another fighter. And they trust Ten's judgment, so he goes back to King Kai for a bit. Not long after, he returns with a new fighter. The person he recruited is Pikkon. And although he doesn't really know anyone on Earth, he agreed to join because he knew the stakes. Ten vouches for him and says he's the strongest person in Otherworld, even stronger than himself. Ten even says if things become bad, he can fuse with Pikkon, but he'd actually rather avoid that because it would be a pretty disgusting looking fusion. Jokes aside though, he'll definitely be a valuable asset to the team, and now they have the 10 people they need, so Team Universe 7 heads off to the Tournament of Power. Right away, they all get to see the strength of the other universes. There are a lot of strong fighters in competition, but luckily, it's nothing that they can't handle. The weakest person on the team here is probably Chi-Chi or Yamcha, but even then, it's not like they're incredibly weak. It's just that everyone else is so strong on the team. The first parts of the tournament aren't necessarily that hard. Everyone is amazed at Pikkon's power too. They get to see what Ten was talking about. And it's not just his power, but his techniques and abilities are also pretty impressive too. He's clearly very skilled. At one point, Raditz encounters Cabba again, as well as the 2 other Saiyans with him. It's been a while since he's seen Cabba, and he's glad to meet these 2 other Saiyans. It's not like he cares about the Saiyan race or anything, at least not the one from his universe, but it's just cool to see more people like him. And you know what? For fun, he's gonna challenge them to a fight. Yeah, all 3 of them at once. Cabba and Caulifla transform, and Kale joins in, although she doesn't transform because she knows what's gonna happen when she does. Single-handedly, Raditz fends them off. Cabba's confused. He hasn't transformed at all, but his power is still insane. This can't be his base form, can it? Well, Raditz actually explains. While Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 is great for them, he doesn't really need to use it anymore. He's utilizing Ultimate, drawing out all the power he needs without that flashy transformation. And while he could easily defeat all of them at once, he wants to have some fun. So he spends a bit of time fighting them. Meanwhile, Kakarot faces Universe 2, showing off his newest form. Once he goes Super Saiyan Rose, they actually compliment him. They think his hair is beautiful, as is the aura, and he's actually kinda embarrassed to hear that. He was hoping it was more so intimidating. But hey, maybe that beauty catches them off guard, and he uses that to his advantage to defeat them. At least the top 3 fighters there. With Chi-Chi watching on the entire time, it's been a while since she got to see Kakarot fight close up. She's always just heard stories or whatever, or had to watch some other tournament. It's nice to actually watch it from the same level as him, and join alongside him. As you could probably guess, Ten actually stays in here and performs way better than he did normally, thanks to King Kai's training. He's much stronger and it's definitely the strongest human here. One of the weirder fights here is going to be Pikkon and Ten fighting Dispo. Oh, and by the way, I know Pikkon's not canon, but neither is Super Saiyan 4. And that's in this What If, so why not have fun and bring in Pikkon too? He is a pretty strong character after all. If you look back at how he fought against Goku, he is very talented, and I feel with those few extra years of training here, of course he's going to be way stronger than he was when we saw him in the anime. And due to Dispo's speed, it will be kinda tough, but I feel like Ten and Pikkon can edge him out in terms of power. Together, the 2 of them are able to take down the speedster from Universe 11, securing a solid victory. And as for Goten, he sticks with Gohan a lot, with both of them joining Ten or Piccolo quite often. There's nothing really crazy about the first few parts of the tournament. At some point I feel Raditz would have had his fun with Universe 6, and he defeats those 3 Saiyans, although he ends it on good terms. The twins join each other again, and the 2 agree that they're both concerned about Jiren. They don't really know how they're going to defeat him, but for now they can just avoid him. They start discussing plans as they go off fighting other people. One of the good things they could do is actually face the other Pride Troopers. Gohan actually goes up against Toppo, showing off Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. Raditz chuckles a bit as Gohan steals his ability. He knew the form was cool, but he didn't expect an imposter. Jokes aside, it's nice to see Gohan using it. And Toppo's impressed too. He senses the God Key within it. And the 2 have a pretty enjoyable fight, although Gohan definitely comes out on top. No pun intended. The fight would definitely be on good terms as well. I mean, both of them are warriors of justice in one way or another, so they can bond through that. And it gives a nice show for Goten. Although he isn't as strong as someone like Toppo is, he can provide moral support for Gohan. Eventually the numbers begin dwindling, and at some point, Jiren's going to be basically unavoidable. He's going to be one of the last few fighters left. So Universe 7 actually has to face him now. A lot of time has progressed in the tournament, and obviously there's been no Ultra Instinct yet, and I don't think there actually will be. Neither of the twins are really focused on those techniques here. They're both very power focused. So it's not going to be like how Goku got it. They might not need it though. They have some ideas about how to defeat Jiren. As long as they all work together, they may be able to come out victorious here. They outnumber him, but they don't overpower him. But strategy will definitely be very helpful. By this point they've lost a few fighters, possibly Krillin, Yamcha, Chi-Chi, and maybe even Goten. I feel those 4 would have the toughest time staying in. But it's still a 6v1. Kakarot and Raditz are the main attackers as everyone else supports them. The twins are aiming to wear Jiren out and get him annoyed so he starts fighting sloppy. They notice that he's beginning to power up and realize that they should probably end this quickly before he could show off all of his power. Him being suppressed actually gives them an advantage. They can use that as part of their plan, but once he's fully powered up, they might not have a shot. So Kakarot and Raditz push him to the edge, literally bringing him to the edge of the ring. Of course he fends them off, but they don't aim to knock him off this way. No, they have a much better idea. Suddenly, Kakarot makes a bunch of Kienzans, flinging them at Jiren. Easily he dodges all of them, as Kakarot continues to spam them, while Jiren fends off Raditz with one hand. Jiren begins to power up more, as the 2 brothers get together and blind Jiren. They're copying Krillin's whole flow. And even though Jiren's blind, he still senses them and is able to fight them. But the good thing is he didn't notice the Kienzans. You see, Kakarot wasn't aiming to hit Jiren with them. He had a much better idea. As Jiren is blinded and he tries to fend off the two fighters, the ground behind him is sliced up, and everyone else notices it too. So they try to help by doing the same. Gohan then jumps in, trying to fight alongside Kakarot and Raditz. Pikkon jumps in too, and they didn't really expect this. They have no idea how Pikkon fights since they've never fought with him before, but this is actually perfect. Their lack of synergy actually helps. Raditz and Kakarot have fought together their whole lives. I mean, they're twins after all. Of course they're going to have perfect synergy when fighting. But they've known Pikkon for like a few hours by this point, so they're not too sure how to fight with him. But that also means Jiren can't predict how he's going to fight either. Raditz, Kakarot, and Gohan fight along Pikkon, and it's kind of random. Ten's not too surprised either because Pikkon told him this. He just wants to distract Jiren long enough for the ring to actually give out, even though he knows that in terms of power he's no real match. Jiren's vision slowly comes back as Kakarot and Raditz then launch past him, with Gohan flipping over Jiren, and together the three attack him with a blast. And Jiren easily reflects it with one hand, although the rest of the fighters join in with their own attacks, creating a massive beam struggle between the remaining fighters Universe 7 and Jiren. And while he defends the blast, he doesn't notice that the ring is giving out below him. Krillin jumps away and tries to slice up the ground himself, causing it to give out more. At one point, Jiren slips off, noticing when it's too late. He tries to jump back in, but when he does, he lands on another rock that falls, as more rocks fall in front of him. Much of the ring in front of him is being destroyed, as he's also being attacked by a combined beam attack. He has no way to jump up either, there's no footing below him. In an act of desperation, Jiren powers up completely, trying to launch a blast in the void to propel himself upwards, leaving him completely open to the attack from Universe 7. He takes the beam head on as he jumps back up, but before he makes it back into the ring, he looks up and sees Raditz and Kakarot have jumped up above him, and the two descend down upon him with a powerful kick. They go full speed ahead as they take Jiren out with them, and due to the combined effort of Universe 7, Jiren is defeated, causing them to be the victors. Once again, the two twins were able to find a way to use teamwork to their advantage. Obviously all their friends were a big help too. In terms of the MVP, for simplicity, let's say it's Gohan, but regardless of who wins, the wish will be the same. Universe 7 is full of good people, well, at least the people that are actually here, and because of that we get a nice wish. And I could have Beerus and Whis revive Pikkon as a gift, but I feel like Pikkon would rather just stay dead. At least in the sense of Dragon Ball, they make it seem like death is cool there. You never have to sleep and you can just keep training forever. Plus, Beerus and Whis don't really have a reason to revive him. Of course, he can still see Ten and his new allies whenever he wants. And that wraps up this arc. Following this arc though, we have the Moro arc. The Galactic Patrol tries to find Buu on Earth, and of course there's no Buu there, but luckily there's a bunch of strong fighters that can help them. The Galactic Patrol brings Kakarot, Raditz, Gohan, and Tenshinhan to Namek with them, and they're caught up to speed about who Moro is and what he's doing. On the ride there, they actually have a pretty good plan. Hopefully it'll actually work though. Moro senses everyone coming to Namek, and when he's actually there, he encounters two of them, Kakarot and Raditz. Ten and Gohan have split up. Raditz and Kakarot are going to act as bait, while those two are actually going to try and fight Moro in another way. The twins do put up a good fight, but clearly they can't win once Moro breaks out his magic. Although Gohan and Ten's plan is a pretty good one, Kakarot and Raditz are really playing the long game here, and they distracted Moro long enough. The whole point of the distraction was for Ten and Gohan to actually gather the Dragon Balls. There wasn't really much opposition, I mean, there was only one guy working with Moro at this point, while they have a whole planet of Namekians working with them. They're going to use the Dragon Balls to their advantage. As Kakarot and Raditz continue to fight Moro, mid-fight, they see Porunga summoned. Moro is immediately panicked as he tries to rush over, preparing to kill Porunga as well. As he launches over there, he suddenly feels weaker. The first wish is made, and that was to remove all of Moro's magic. Kakarot and Raditz chase down Moro, and suddenly he disappears. They're confused, but then they realize that the second wish must have been made. That was to actually seal him, using magic from Porunga to permanently lock him away. Now safely with the Galactic Patrol again. As for the third wish, they fix all the damage he's caused so far. And once again here, we see how teamwork really helps with this scenario. They essentially just avoided the entire Moro arc. Instead of it just being Kakarot and Raditz there, having two extra teammates really did help. The same magic that Moro uses for power, it was used to seal him. Kinda ironic in a way. They helped the Galactic Patrol, save Namek, and save the universe unknowingly. All in all, I'd say it's a pretty good ending. Kakarot and Raditz have come a pretty long way. Look how they started. Small-time martial artists living with Grandpa Gohan. And look at them now, saving the entire universe. Multiple times over. They fought against and beside literal gods, and they kinda are literal gods as well. They both have happy families, and a bunch of great friends. Not only have they developed as fighters, but as people. They remember those two other Saiyans they fought before, Vegeta and Nappa. If only they ended up the same way. They wonder what those two are up to in Otherworld. but that's obviously another story for another time. This is Raditz and Kakarot's story, and with that, we'll end off here for now. So, what did you guys think about this scenario, and what did you think about this part? If it ever continues, what do you think would happen next? Leave any thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video or this series, be sure to drop a like. It'll let me know that you guys like scenarios like this one. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon and get notified about any future videos I upload on my channel, including more scenarios like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thank you for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you all on whatever video is next.